Happy 4th of July, people. Hope everybody celebrated their great Hoorah America Day and had fun watching fireworks. I'm not going to lie, I've really never understood the purpose of the point of watching fireworks. I'm like, ooh, sparkles in the air, especially now that I live in New York City. And
I agree. This is like one of my gripes. Like, I think fireworks are like so overrated.
Thank you.
Like, if you've seen one, you've seen them all.
Exactly. I'm like, I watched fireworks all the time when I was a kid. I'm like, I was like, I don't get it. What's the big hype? And also, especially since I live in New York City and like fireworks are more importantly used to, like, shoot and be used as weapons in order to like harm people. Mostly as practical price. Like the amount of like firework pranks that I've seen gone horribly wrong in videos. I'm like, I don't understand the why people like this.
Yeah.
We are here to review the Odyssey trailer and all the other great trailers that came out this past week. Project Hail Mary, The Running Man. We definitely have no new movies that just came out, especially no new movies that are about to like trump the 2 superhero releases that are about to come out this year. Oh, Lord. Luke, I mean, it's the ultimate explanation as far as why they keep making these movies. None of the last 2 were good, but they've all made over $1 billion. So, like, Jurassic World Dominion was like, what, the 2nd or 3rd highest grossing movie in 2022 after Top Gun? Something like that. So,
I think it's a testament to show that even that movie, like, it brought back all 3 of the original cast, and it was still terrible.
Still terrible.
But it still made $1 billion.
Yes.
And unsurprisingly, they announced another one like that was supposed to be the end, and they announced this one like a year after.
Yeah.
And
if we're going to go by typical studio logic in terms of they only ever follow the dollar signs, the last couple of years, basically what they have been told is big, gigantic, extravagant, like auteur pieces made by auteur directors, live action remakes of animated classics, and dinosaur movies. And occasionally things with Ryan Reynolds in it. Because those are the only things that have made money in the last 5 years. Everything else has been middling to flop. All of the traditional releases that they thought would do well, none of them have really made a lot of money. So, and this is already being cleared for potentially a $300-400 million opening weekend. And I'm like, it's a bigger, flashier, slightly cooler looking version of Jurassic Park 3 with elements of Lost World thrown in there as well. And that's about the most positive thing that I can say about this movie. Other than, okay, they got a director at the very least this time who know the trade-off from Colin Trevorrow being that they got a director who knows how to do really, really good action set pieces. Like, if there's one positive thing that I can say about this movie, it's that the dinosaur sequences in this are possibly the best since the first one, I would say. Like, you really felt the scale. You really felt the sense of danger. Like the T-Rex chasing the family down the river. The opening sequence with the mosasaur when they're driving past the dinosaur, the brachiosaur that's just sitting there. The end sequence with the as I'm like calling it now, the D-Rex. That's what I'm going to call it now. I have to put like an impetus under the name every time I say it. But other than that, again, I'm just getting out of the way. Laziest script. Every actor in this movie is fucking sleepwalking. It's another classic 2010s-ism of, just all the characters are acting like robots and automatons and not how like actual people would. And it's just, I'll let you take it from here because like I really don't want to spend that much time talking about this movie because it's already got too much attention to begin with.
Yeah, I'd say this is the most undeserving yet incredibly successful franchise that we have in Hollywood. Like you could say Universal has Fast and Furious, but at least they like go for it every time and like they try to step each other, so much so that they're freaking bringing back Brian from the dead for the next one. Which,
well, remember, Brian's not dead.
Well, Brian's not dead, but
just in real life.
I think. And we'll see how that turns out. That's going to be an expensive movie.
Yeah,
I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
But this one, I do appreciate that they went for like a smaller scale thing, like the last one. Like, we were kind of hoping that eventually it would go to dinosaurs being integrated into the real world. This one gives a reason for why that doesn't happen anymore. Although it starts off with like a brontosaurus or something, like just escaped from the zoo and is causing a pileup in New York. Like, I thought that was
pretty funny. Especially given that area in New York where it was is actually like not that far from where I live. That's Dumbo in Brooklyn, which is only about like 30-40 minutes from where I live in Bed-Stuy. So I thought that for me, that was really funny.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Like, Gareth Edwards, if you give him like a decent script, he'll make it look good. Like the creator, yes, it was a ripoff of basically every sci-fi movie ever made, but it looked really good. It had good sequences. It just lacked that killer script. Yes. I think it's the same here. I think David Kep, he's had like 4 movies this year that he's written.
Yeah, what's
like,
been going on? That dude has been cashing checks nonstop.
yes, he's written some amazing stuff, and like he was on co-write on the first Mission Possible, I think. And when they like were announcing this movie, they said, "Oh yeah, they're bringing back the original writer from the first Jurassic Park." I'm like, Michael Crichton, he's he's a co-writer.
I just saw that and I'm like, they're so full of shit because James Cameron gave his blessing to every single shitty Terminator movie that we got over the last like 10 years. So it's like, that doesn't mean shit.
And there's a reason why only that movie has worked, because it was Michael Crichton wrote the book, and that movie is basically a direct adaptation of the book. They asked him to write a sequel. He wrote The Lost World. They didn't use any of it, and then they haven't had a movie anywhere near the first one since then.
Yes.
And then this is another continuation. Yes, it's kind of a rehash of JP3. They try to fit in some character development, but ultimately there's not enough room for it. Basically,
literally. Not to mention the fact that I feel like already a movie has a lot going against it quality-wise. When I'm trying to explain the basic premise to people who like after I just seen it, like last night, like I went out with a couple of friends after the movie, and I'm already like having to give an entire fucking thesis paragraphs, 3-page thesis paragraph statement just for the setup. Like.
See, this is how we can relate, because to our non-movie heavy friends and family, where we sound crazy. I'm like trying to explain where the Fantastic Four have been for 15 years and why they're suddenly here. And then
why there's a new Superman and all of that.
Yeah. My mom's asking me like, "Oh, so what's the deal? Like he died in like the last one, but now he's back." I'm like,
you're like, "Oh,
no, different universe.
It's like, don't worry about it. Just watch the movies.
The fact that
you'll be so much better off.
You have to explain the movie again after you saw it. That's not a great sign.
Yeah, never a good sign. Oh, Hollywood logic. We love it. Yeah, I was about to say, like, because I don't even remember like what the impetus for the making of this was. It was just like Colin Trevorrow is just one of the dudes who has just been endlessly screwed by Hollywood, and I feel bad because this is another guy that saw himself as like the next J.J. Abrams in the sense of really, really wanted to pay good homage to Spielberg. I really still want to give him credit for that initial Jurassic World, which, oh my God, I cannot fucking believe it's been 10 years since that movie. 10 years since the Jurassic World. Remember at a time when we could actually get excited for these movies when the trailer for that movie came out? We're like,
I was so excited.
Chris Pratt riding a motorcycle with velociraptors, this is going to be awesome. And then, again, it's kind of amazing how, as much as people crapped on that movie when it first came out, how much better it is than every Jurassic World movie we've had since then. Where
I mean, I was 13, so it was pretty perfectly fine.
It was the perfect movie. I will always tell the story that, like, ironically, also tying into Gareth Edwards, that I missed both of my proms, junior and senior year prom. Junior prom, I went to go see Gareth Edwards' Godzilla, and then senior year prom, I went to go see Jurassic World. Had a blast with both those movies. Had so much fun. Ironically, my brother's best friend. It's weird how like we'll like have certain things that we bond over. Like we bonded over The Walking Dead. We watched Jurassic World together. And it's so funny because we love Jurassic World so much. And then we saw Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom together. And we both came out of that. We were like, that was one of the worst movies we've ever seen. That was awful. Where essentially what you had is Colin Trevorrow, right, had a really interesting idea for the first one, which they kind of are still tying into in this movie as well, which is that what if dinosaurs existed in the social media age? But what if Jurassic Park had been reopened after the events of the original and people, and ironic in 2015, it'd be even worse now.
What if it worked? What if the full vision came true? Like, what would it look like?
What if the full vision worked? And what if people were bored of it because they were on their phones on social media all the time? And then the dinosaurs get loose because of human stupidity. Like, again, even though the second half kind of devolves into a mindless monster movie and we get like a Godzilla-esque 3-way dinosaur fight at the end, which is still fucking awesome, by the way. It worked, I think. I think the idea worked ultimately, even though at the end of the day, it wasn't adding anything remotely new. It was still an interesting enough idea. And then, even though he didn't direct the sequel Fallen Kingdom, at the very least, that also provided us with somewhat of an interesting idea of what if dinosaurs got out into the mainland. Now, say the biggest mistake of that movie was saving that for the end of the movie rather than fucking, rather than like having that be the whole movie, like
this is eternal Hollywood problem of like, oh yeah, the ending is gonna be where we actually want to go like at the end of X-Men Apocalypse. Yeah, that's when all the suits and the team is set up. Like,
Right.
no, that should have been the movie.
Yeah, and then we get that in Dark Phoenix, which is so bad
Yeah.
that, like, the less said about that one, the better. But yeah, and that's exactly it. And then we get Dominion a few years later, post-COVID, where, oh my God, we finally have it. Dinosaurs in the real world. We got the original cast back, and it sucks. It sucks. It's boring. It's stupid. You don't have dinosaurs being the antagonists. You have like a swarm of killer bees
Locusts.
or something, locusts, something. It's like, I'm sorry.
You have Richard Parker as the villain.
I
don't know his name. It's just,
Campbell Scott is the guy's name. But
yeah.
My whole thing, he's the guy that you get anytime you want like a really boring, like very formal, very regal looking villain who then gets killed in the stupidest way possible. It's like, get it? He died the same way that Dennis Nedry did. And he's the dude who like paid off Dennis Nedry to cause the events of all of this is to say that the reason why Jurassic World, the whole Jurassic franchise is such an undeserving franchise is because it is one of those things where it is manufactured tension. And yes, I understand that all, by nature of filmmaking and storytelling, all tension is manufactured. But the reason why it feels especially manufactured within these movies is because all of these movies, the thing that ties them all together is ultimately human stupidity. One could say human hubris, but at this point, it's really human stupidity. Because the thing that made the original so interesting is that we had never seen anything like it. It was a really interesting examination of when humanity's hubris ultimately gets the better of them. And in this case, it is the sense of, oh, we are bringing back this thing, this force that was wiped out millions of years before we were even around as a species that ultimately is way bigger on the food chain than us. And even though, yes, we do have the capability of still taking them, obviously with the American military might, there's a reason why these always take place in confined, isolated settings, never in like the middle of a city, in the middle of a major metropolis. It is ultimately the fact that it's like, it is ultimately man's hubris getting the better of them. The problem is that it only works for a one instant story because every other idea of doing a sequel to this depends on man ultimately like committing like stupid acts of like, oh, we have to go back to the island. We have to find a way to save these things. And it's like, these things are giant killer machines that will eat you. And not to mention the fact that regardless of the fact that half of them are carnivores that will viciously eat you, you also have the fact that and again, it's one of the few smart points that this movie refers to, and it's kind of funny actually that this movie's released only 2 years after 28 years later, which also employs a similar storytelling device in the sense of where the Earth is no longer habitable for dinosaurs. It's changed so much. Again, the thing is that when dinosaurs were alive, the Earth was a lot more tropical in nature, which is what allowed them to survive. And now, because of the current
more
climate,
oxygen. Plants were bigger, like everything was bigger.
Everything was bigger, exactly. And so dinosaurs now literally do not have the ability to survive outside of the few equatorial islands that they're living on around the equator, So that is already an interesting point. And then, of course, you get into Rupert Friend's Mr. I'm so obviously the bad guy. That's another thing the Jurassic World franchise does so well, is really introducing really subtle villains who you'd never see coming, going all the way back. Again, it's
like,
fucking...
I don't think you could clock a prediction earlier. Like, oh yeah, he's gonna die. Like, immediately. It's like
it's so obvious, and it's like you have the three obvious red shirts who are gonna die, and oh man, one of them dies in a really like unsatisfactory manner. But do you want to even try to start to break down the plot of this movie, or do you want to get into the cast first and how they're all just sleepwalking through this?
I don't know. I think these are just like, hey, we'll give you X millions to star in this movie. Like, I can go to Hawaii for a few weeks.
Yeah,
like,
it's very clear.
Enjoy the sun.
It's very clear the cast here was all just like enjoying a really, really nice vacation. Ultimately, all being chased by like CGI things. Again, it's like, so ScarJo, and the other thing too also that this cast all has in common is it feels like a lot of these stars have all been miffed by Disney in some capacity. Scarlett Johansson bouncing back after getting royally screwed by Disney when Black Widow was supposed to go to theaters and then ended up going to streaming for pay-per-view. She sued Disney, hasn't really worked in the last couple of years since then, has really just been vocal about the fact that
she directed a movie.
She directed a movie, and she's been in the last couple of Wes Anderson movies. She was in Isle of Dogs. She was in Asteroid City. She was just in Phoenician Scheme, which just came out a couple months ago. She's been doing a couple of jobs with Wes, so this was her big paycheck movie. Mahershala Ali famously was going back and forth because Marvel just could not figure out Blade, literally to the point where they had to sell the costumes from what Blade was going to be to sinners, which is amazing. I love that. He's cashing a paycheck. Jonathan Bailey is still riding high after his Wicked fame from last year. He's going to be in Wicked Part 2 later this year. And he has such a convincing American accent in this as well. What's it called? You have Rupert Friend, who's the very obvious, not at all bad guy. What's it called? He's been just like bouncing around a couple of different things here and there. He was also in Asteroid City. He's probably most famously known for Homeland. And then you have the subplot where I'm like, just why is this here? Just why is this here? Where there is this Hispanic family that's trying to make a sail from Barbados to Cape Town, which if I'm not mistaken is in Africa. So they're trying to sail across
South Africa.
Right, South Africa. So they're trying to sail across the Atlantic in a sailboat through dinosaur infested areas. And their only explanation to that is, ships go through there all the time. The dinosaurs only take down like 1 out of 50 boats. What are the odds? And I'm just like, they are dinosaurs. What are you doing? Like, just blatant human stupidity. Just blatant human stupidity. And then the impetus also for why. It's like the movie goes out of its way to tell you, yes, dinosaurs have been confined to these specific areas. Stay away from these specific areas. The authorities have basically said, like, dinosaurs literally can't survive on any part of the planet. If you stay away from these areas, you will be fine. And what are they going to do? We need to go to those islands. We need to go to these islands in order to get DNA samples from these dinosaurs so that we can use it to
make a super cancer curing,
a heart disease curing thing. Because it's like, because we can get the DNA samples from these giant animals because they had massive hearts, and as a result they were able to like live for like up to 100 years, because of that. And I'm like, really? It's their hearts? It's not like they're
the oxygen
rich environment or the different kinds of physiology that they had, because you also have giant animals now that also don't live that long either, and it doesn't have to do with the size of their hearts. It has to do with the fact that it's their physiology as well, the fact that they're designed to do it. There's a reason why really tall human beings don't usually last that long, as you don't usually have that long of a lifespan either, because I'm just thinking about that logic, and I'm like, if that was really true, like then 7-foot tall basketball players would live up to like 100, and that's almost never the case. Like giantism is usually a sign that like one will not live that long. So I just thought that was pretty funny, and the rest you could pretty much predict. Like I said, it's just human stupidity after human stupidity. Like I said, everybody here is sleepwalking. Everybody here is just like does not care. But we forgot the best part. The fact that the island that they're going to was an island where they were experimenting with the mutant dinosaurs. The Indominus Rex, the V Raptor thing from the Indoraptor thing that was in Fallen Kingdom. I think there wasn't. Was there one in Dominion or no? It was just the Giganotosaurus, which is a real species of dinosaurs.
I think that was the big attraction of that movie.
So Dominion got away from that, thankfully. But now we're getting to the point. See, at the very least, what I give credit for the first two is that at the very least, those two movies still made the new mutant dinosaurs look like dinosaurs. Like the Indominus Rex was like a blend together of like a T-Rex and a raptor, so it had like longer arms and it was able to make it more vicious and deadly.
And there was like a reason behind it. Like the interest was dwindling. Okay, we're gonna make a new dinosaur. Like we're gonna throw a bunch of crap in a bowl and mix it around and see what comes out. And this one is like, I don't really see a reason for it, unless it's
they
like
literally even said that the Rupert Friend even literally says like, once we realized that like people just saw that they were just like weird and disgusting looking. It's like and we saw it too. It's like a 2-headed triceratops. It's like a velociraptor with wings, and the big attraction, the D-Rex, the Distortus Rex, which looks more like a giant mutant alien with like an overgrown cranium, tiny jaws, and 6 arms. Whereas, like, you've got, like, the 2 massive arms that it uses to walk around, and then you have the 2 mini arms, which it uses, and you're just like, what was the thought process here?
It's like, sure, it looks unique.
Yeah.
But what is the reason behind it really
It's existing? Like, okay, so we're literally just making monsters now. Like, we just left dinosaurs behind. Like, these are officially just monster movies now.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess it looked cool. It had some good sequences. It had this weird sequence like where Mahershala Ali sacrifices himself, but it's like so obvious that he's just going to turn out the other side.
That was a reshoot. That was a reshoot. Ooh. Yeah, test screening wanted him still alive. Mahershala desperately wanted them to kill him off there. So, and it's so funny too because even when you see him on the boat, you're like, that's so obviously a reshoot. He was not there with the rest of the cast
See,
at all.
I was tuned out by this point.
That's fair. That's fair.
I wasn't fully looking in there, but
I still
but I think we can talk about like some of the action sequences because that's like the good
the highlights.
We watch this, okay. Now we wait a little bit for the next one, and then that one.
Yes.
So the first one is like basically Jaws with the mosasaur.
Yes, the mosasaur, and that was great. Like honestly, like it's kind of insane. Where again, after the great hype ups in the first one, that incredible shot in Fallen Kingdom of the mosasaur coming in behind those surfers, one of the best shots I've ever seen. Even though it shouldn't be logically feasible for how the mosasaur would get into waters that shallow, because it literally, can't survive in waters that shallow.
Cool. It's a rule of cool.
Yes. Oh man, just like incredible sequence where again you get up close to the mosasaur, you get to see like first like the buildup of its body coming out of the water, and this is definitely the one where you can tell that Spielberg consulted on it the most, because they even said like when Spielberg was consulting, it's like it should be more scary.
Like, hey guys, why don't you just do Jaws? Like,
pretty much,
it worked pretty well for me like 50 years ago. So
yep.
I think it's time to do it with a mosasaur. So,
and ironically, they were also playing trailers for the Jaws 50-year anniversary because they're putting Jaws back in theaters for the end of August. And I'm like, yeah, I wonder how many people will go to watch that and watch that movie, watch that make more money than this stupid movie.
I don't know. This is making money. Like,
it is. It's making a lot of money. Dinosaurs sell, especially when they look at it like this.
Yeah, so they had that, and that led into like the Spinosaur climbing onto the boat. They ate Ed Screen, who just pops up. Like, where's he been since like Alita Battle Angel?
Rebel Moon.
Oh, how could I forget that movie I watched in the corner of my
Snyder
screen.
Classic that featured both Dario Naharis. Ed Screen is the bad guy and Michelle Huseman as the love interest who dies.
But I enjoyed that sequence. Like, okay. This is like the good part of the movie, and then you get to the island. It's like, okay, we're gonna walk to the next action sequence, basically.
Yep, pretty much. And then you have like I said, then you have the family that they pick up. They get separated when they get to that. Also, can we talk about the fucking boyfriend and what a dipshit he is, and how much I am rooting for him to die? And they tease us so many times. I can count at least 3 different instances where they tease us. He almost gets eaten by the mosasaur when it knocks over their boat. He almost gets eaten by the velociraptors. And again, also, like a fuck you to the original raptors, where he's about to get killed by the raptors, but then gets saved last minute by the flying raptor that eats the 2 raptors and then leaves him while he's taking a piss. And then the T-Rex sequence, which we'll get to that. Like, that's the sequence of the movie, really. But I'm just like, why is this dude here? Like, why is this dude here? He's literally there. Everyone is like, yeah, he's lazy. He's a stoner. He's like, also like, why is the dad letting him come when he's clearly fucking the daughter? Also, they don't say how old the 2 of them are. So like, I'm already like, I have so many questions here. The older daughter, by the way, I should probably preface that. And what's it called? But then like throughout, he like strangely becomes more competent out of nowhere. And I'm just like, it's just such a waste of a character. And then he's one of the survivors by the end. And I'm just like, fuck this. Like, fuck this. I'm like, you brought back Mahershala Ali when he clearly wanted to die. You couldn't have killed off this idiot too. But yeah, so you have that. Then we have them getting to the beach. You have the second red shirt after Ed Screen, who gets killed by who unfortunately got killed by the Spinosaurs. Then you had the one red shirt who I don't even think they say her name. I don't even think she like gets any character development. No. She's like trying to push something up, and then she gets eaten by another Spinosaur that was just hiding. It was very, very cool shot where it's like the Spinosaur was just like, you saw it like get up in the corner. I didn't even notice it at first, and then it's like it's blocked by the thing, and then she gets killed. And I thought that was sad. And then, so what would you say the next big sequence is? The T-Rex sequence?
I think like one sequence that I appreciated was when they find the
Titanosaurs.
The Titanosaurs, yeah. And just like a somber moment of like kind of like when they first see the Brachiosaurus in the first one. So it's like, okay, this is nice. I like the music.
Yeah. You mean the moment where they were just recreating the moment from the first Jurassic World?
Like, I like this moment. And why do I like it? Because it's in the first
movie. It's in the first one. And then the sequence where it's like the herd of Titanosaurs walking one way. And I'm like, oh, they definitely didn't use AI to replicate that scene. They definitely didn't do that, right?
I don't know. Gareth Edwards movies have always looked good. And
keep in mind, too, also, this is literally a dude who made a movie in support of AI, where AI was the good guys.
That is true. And AI has advanced a lot since
just keep that in mind. Just keep that in mind.
Whatever they did to it, it looked good enough that I didn't clock it there. But then there's
Well, the Quetzalcoatl
some
scene, but really,
yeah.
it's the T-Rex scene. The T-Rex chasing them down the river. That is like the sequence of the movie, which, again, you brought out the original Jurassic Park novel because that is a sequence that famously was cut from the original Jurassic Park movie that they then brought in to this movie as well. You can tell that, like, they basically had Spielberg directing this sequence because everything from the minute that they get to the storage closet, they pass the corpse of the Parasaurolophus. She gets inside. She brings out the thing. They see the T-Rex sleeping. Everything from that moment on all the way up until... The problem is, they spoiled that whole sequence in the fucking trailer. They released the whole sequence online.
Yeah,
so
I saw someone cut it up like chronologically, and it was like, oh wow, that's the entire sequence.
Yeah, it's like there's no suspense here at all. Like, why would you do that? Like, I don't understand that at all, because that's the sequence of the movie, if you ask me.
Yeah, but like even watching, it's like, okay, this T-Rex has the most character, like out of anyone in this movie. He's like, he's kind of like smiling almost, like he's kind of playing with his food, and then he finally gets to the like the end sequence where the little girl is. That's the cheat code with these movies. Like put a kid in the perilous situation, and that'll amp it up. It's like using a dog in like anything. It's like put the dog in danger. Suddenly everyone cares a lot more.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. You can drop as many human bodies as you want in these horror movies, but you kill even little kids to a certain extent. But if you kill a dog, oh man, you know, like I said, it's the biggest fuck you to me from the original 2018 Halloween movie was then when Michael Myers just passes by a screaming kid and just leaves him. I'm like, what? Like, you're Michael Myers, dude. What the hell? You killed like a 10-year-old like not even 10 minutes ago, and now you're gonna leave a screaming baby alive? Okay. So I thought that was, so like I said, that's the sequence of the movie ultimately, because you're right. Like the T-Rex has become such an iconic figure in cinema history, not just like as a dinosaur, but like as a character that like, but you know, it's bad when like literally I am actively rooting more than any of these other movies. I'm actively rooting for the dinosaurs to eat these guys, you know? And there are so many incredible sequences where you have such a great buildup and then you have such a lame payoff where it's like, oh, the idiot boyfriend's taking a piss. He's about to get eaten by these two raptors. Oh no, these flying raptors come out of nowhere and kill these two raptors. And I'm just like, you know what it is too? It's that in every one of the first three of these movies, you had the OG dinosaurs come out and kill like the new like experiment. You know, you had Blue kill the V-Rex. You had Blue and the Velociraptor and the T-Rex team up to take out the Indominus Rex. You had the T-Rex and that other thing take out the Giganotosaurus. So you would always have basically like these man-made monstrosities are never going to stand up to like the OGs essentially, you know, if I'm going to touch on one common theme. And in this one, it's like, oh no, like you almost have no interaction between the real dinosaurs and these mutant monstrosities. And every time you do, it's like the mutant monstrosities win. It's like, what are we doing here? You know, we haven't even gotten to the D-Rex at the end, and we'll get to that. But and then also, so you have, like I said, so you have the river sequence, and then you have the blatantly obvious ripoff of both Lost World and the original Jurassic Park when they rendezvous together at the end at the gas station, which is just like there. And then you have the
just
flying
full of snacks.
The flying raptor chasing the family, and you have like the recreation of the Velociraptor sequence from the kitchen in the first one. And then you have, I'm surprised they didn't have the little girl doing gymnastics in order to take them out too, because you may as well have put that in there, you know, replicating that from Lost World.
Yeah, and then they have like the little like dinosaur that follows her around in the backpack. And I don't remember what happened with that. Does it make it onto the boat?
Oh, well, yeah. So she brings the baby dinosaur with her back to the mainland when they said that dinosaurs cannot survive on the mainland. It's like the movie is blatantly just throwing up middle fingers to its audience. Like we're stupid. We know you're stupid, but we know you don't care. We're basically calling the audience stupid, and like nobody cares because we're gonna flash a really, really well done dinosaur action sequence. And you idiots will be completely satisfied.
I think ultimately it's because of the age of the audience. Because when I went, I was like, okay, I feel like an unk sitting here like next to all.
Like it's been a long time since that first Jurassic World.
It's like, why are there kids at my dinosaur movie?
And then you're like, oh wait,
that's why it makes so much money. Like,
yep. Because kids love this shit. Because again,
I don't blame them. I
don't blame them. Exactly. If I was a kid, I would have a blast. This would be one of my favorite movies of the year if I was 10 years old and one. Well, maybe not 10, maybe a little younger. I'd say like probably 7 or 8. Like I know my nephew is gonna go watch this movie and he is gonna have a freaking blast with it, you know? And that's ultimately why, like, it's tricky because, like, this is the exact reason why I didn't review Minecraft. I guess the difference is that I've got more of an initial stake in the Jurassic World franchise in general than I do Minecraft, because I've never played Minecraft and I could give less of a shit about it. So I'm like, yeah, that's just not something that's made for my demographic.
I'd say I give a shit about Minecraft. I played it a lot, but then like seeing what they're actually doing with the movie.
Right.
It's
Right.
like Minecraft has a lot of potential for like a creative thing, but
Right.
that was
the difference too. Also, is that you have been watching movies long enough that you have like some understanding and education on cinema. Versus, if I had to guess, the vast majority of people who play Minecraft do not. So that's the difference. I feel like with you and other people.
Yes.
Yeah, and so like I said, we have to talk about before we move on to the real reason why we're doing this, which is the trailers that came before this for all the better movies that are coming out later this year and into next year. We have to talk about the D-Rex, the Distortus Rex. We get like this opening sequence, which is, of all the dumb opening sequences, like this has got to be one of the all-time worst, where it's like it's a fucking Snickers bar.
Yeah, like you have the super lab. You're making
like,
dinosaurs, and the Snickers bars you're undoing.
Not even a Snickers bar, a Snickers bar wrapper. That's the crucial detail there. And I'm just like, oh God. And then you get this thing, like, I don't even, like I said, I basically described it. It's like this massive 6R. It doesn't even look like a dinosaur. It looks like a kaiju, basically. And they save it for the very end.
Maybe it was like on a Pacific Rim file somewhere. And then
That's what I'm guessing. That's what I'm guessing. Because, like I said, I'm like, this is not a fucking dinosaur. This is a kaiju, literally. A smaller kaiju, but a kaiju nonetheless. And I just have so many questions. Because I'm like, wait a minute. This thing has been traipsing around the island for the last 15 years. That's the thing they go out of their way. They're like, it's been 15 years since this event. Because the breakout happened in 2010. And then they're like, oh, like 15, 17 years later. I'm like, does that mean to tell me that this movie takes place in 2027? Like, oh, no. But I'm like, so wait a minute. This thing has been traipsing around the island this whole time. Why are there still any other It is a meat eater. Why are there any other dinosaurs that are still alive? Like, this thing should have killed every other dinosaur on the island, because it shows that when the Indominus Rex got out in the original Jurassic Park, it slaughtered an entire herd of Apatosauruses or whatever those long necks were. And so this thing gets out. It's presumably a meat eater, and all the other dinosaurs are still alive. That's the first problem. Second thing, this thing is bigger than the T-Rex. Bigger than the T-Rex, and you don't see it until the last act, and it's like basically shrouded in smoke for the first like 10 minutes of its appearances. So it's once again another instance of, okay, plot convenience. Oh, even though this thing is fucking huge, you don't see it or hear it coming. I will admit again, some really, really good imagery where the rescue helicopter that's coming for them at the end ends up getting munched by the Distortus Rex, and that's a great visual. That's a great there. Shot. And then you have the obvious hilarious. Like, I just want you to take this from here, because I really don't know how much more I can talk about the stupidity of this thing.
I don't know how much more there is to take. Like, there's some good shots, like a helicopter reveal, and then they run through the tunnels for a bit. There's again, they have to send the kid out to flip the button.
Also, another pulling a lever thing in order to do the thing which they ripped right from Rogue One.
Yeah, so again, Gareth Edwards rehashing both his greatest hits and the Jurassic Park franchise's greatest hits. So I think that sums up this movie. It's trying to rehash the greatest hits without adding anything.
New. Like I said, it looks pretty visually. Some great sequences, but that's exactly it. It's rehashing the greatest hits without actually adding anything new of substance. Kind of like this entire franchise, ultimately, because I feel like that's exactly what this franchise has been doing.
And there's not quite enough star power to really like propel this along. It's not like a Mission Impossible where everyone is elevated by Tom, but that being a Tom Cruise production.
Exactly.
And this is just a Marvel actor like Bailey, who's like up and coming, like reaching that kind of like he's getting some Bond shouts, which I wouldn't hate.
I would not hate that either, Yeah, although, what are the odds that they then do a gay James Bond? What are the odds of that, though?
I think we're a few years off from that iteration.
Listen. By the time that they put it out, I'm just saying, or at the very least, a bisexual James Bond. I
don't know. I think Craig's was already.
Yeah, there were hints of that in the Craig movie, but no, I'm talking like full on, like three-way, like multiple like orgy action, like you don't know. I mean, my whole thing with Bond is that like I'm like they should really just bring it back to like the Cold War, where basically it's like the idea that like Matthew Good pitched when he was talking on the Josh Horowitz podcast recently, where he was like, yeah, let's bring it back to the 60s. Let's make him cold. Let's make him miserable. Let's just make him like a brutal, ruthless killer, you know, that has to be like brought back from the edge. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of the Bond that I want to see, because that's what Ian Fleming's original vision was, not this like suave, womanizing, world-traveling debonair. Bond is a cold, brutal killer, and that was the promise of Craig. And then when they started to get away from that with the later Craig movies, that's when the Craig movies started not being as good. So there was that. But yeah, I don't want to talk about this movie that much more. I gave it 2 out of 5 for the action sequences. That's about it.
Yeah, I gave it 3 out of 5 purely because of expectation. Because with the previous 3 Jurassic Worlds, I'm like, okay, the first one was pretty good, like enjoyable stuff. Second one has potential. I'm expecting something, and then it is not much. Okay, and the third one, I'm like, okay, the whole cast is back. It's gonna go global, and then it wasn't very good. So that one was lower. This one I was like, okay, smaller scale is Jurassic. They have nothing new to offer me at this point, and I had a decent time at the movie. So 3 stars is where I land. It's not your 5-star 3-star movie. It's just a
it's not Twisters. Movie. It's not Twisters.
No.
Yeah. We'll have to circle back to that and figure out what the Twisters of this year is for you, because have we really had any?
I don't think we've had it yet.
Yeah, because this year's not been great. It's finally starting to pick up a little bit, but this year has not been great. For rough for third of the year. But yeah, so we had some trailers drop this past week, and I believe they are all Universal productions. I'm wrong. Project Hail Mary is Amazon,
and
Running Man. I think
Paramount is.
You're right. Man. Paramount is Running Man. You're right. So one Universal production, which they played right before the movie. But so I want to do Project Hail Mary first. So like I said, this is your.
You want to go in release order of Running Man. Hail Mary?
Running Man was first. I thought Hail Mary was first when it was released. I thought it was Hail Mary
in movie release order.
Nah, let's do Project Hail Mary first.
Okay.
Yeah, because
I've read two.
Well, because you read the book, so like that's your focus, and that's the thing that you were like hinting at, really. Again, so this is from the same author as the guy who wrote The Martian, Andy Weir. It's starring Ryan Gosling. It's Phil Lord and Chris Miller's first live action film since 22 Jump Street that they're doing. This movie has been getting almost universal acclaim for everybody who has seen the trailers right now, except as you pointed out, they spoiled the big twist of the movie in the trailer, which you were hoping that they would not do.
Yeah, but I checked back in the book, and it's revealed like a quarter or a third way into the movie. Yeah, there's an alien. This is more sci-fi than one would think. But then looking back on the trailer and thinking about what's in the book, there's like a lot of context that is missing, like both what happens on the mission and what happens on Earth. So I'd say in this trailer you've gotten A, C, E, G, but you're missing B, D, F, and like that sort of like why is he the one to go, and what happens on the mission, because like there's glimpses of what happens on the mission. I know what's happening in those scenes, but to someone who hasn't read it, it's completely out of context. So but it looks absolutely perfect. This is as beloved as a sci-fi novel can get across YouTube, across just general review platforms. So and looking like the team that they've assembled, Gosling, Lord and Miller, Drew Goddard is writing it again. As he wrote The Martian, which is probably the most important part of this whole ordeal. So yeah, my expectations are absolute sky high. So
yeah, definitely.
And Greg Fraser is the cinematographer, which is even more. Yeah, and it's already showing in the visuals.
Yeah, exactly. Already, I can see just from what I've got. I'm like, Ryan Gosling in space. He's doing his goofy Ryan Gosling shtick in space. There's going to be an alien. Greg Fraser is shooting. Phil Lord Miller directing. I'm like, I don't even want. This is so funny because normally for a thing like this, I would get the book and read it, so I would have it done in time before the movie. I don't even want to read the book because I just want to go into this completely
I think it'd be as
cold.
Good or
and like you were exactly, and like you were saying, if this is as faithful as an adaptation as they did with The Martian. Again, I can't fucking with 10 years since The Martian came out too. Man, 2015. What a year that was. If this is as faithful to the book as The Martian was, I'm like, I'm very, very excited for this. You know, like I said, I am somebody who did not love The Martian the way that everybody else did. I think that mostly came down to Ridley Scott's direction. Everything else about that movie I thought worked though. Like it was a very, very well done movie. It was more so, if I'm remembering, the thing about The Martian is that it felt very homely and very timely, if you will, you know, but this movie looks to be a lot more goofy, a lot more out there. You know, my hope with this is that Lord and Miller get to do with this movie what they were robbed of doing with Soul. You know, we were robbed of what could ultimately been the greatest Disney Star host Rogue One with that solo movie if they were going to be directing, and then they fired and replaced with Ron Howard, and the rest we all know is history. So, but I am very much looking forward to it. I will say, just because this trailer, I feel like, gave me the least of the other two trailers that we're talking about. It is my third most anticipated of these other two trailers, especially since we have to wait until February or March in order to watch this. So, but I am still very excited about this. I do still am excited. Can you give like us any hints as far as like what the mission is and what the actual plot is outside of Ryan Gosling's a school teacher who gets recruited to go into space?
Okay, I'll try to limit the spoilers. So I will say it's like it is quite similar to The Martian of guy needs to solve one problem after another, but where it's better is that in The Martian, like Mark Watney, he doesn't really have an arc. He just does the next thing. This one is like it is definitely more of a character thing. Like he's a freaking middle school teacher, and he's been put on a space mission.
I'm guessing he's got something that happened in his past, because I'm like, they're not just recruiting some schlubby middle school teacher who happens to look like Ryan Gosling.
It's because of a paper he wrote. Is that why he is the one that they go to solve this problem? Basically, as they say in the trailer, the sun is dying. They know why the sun is dying. They know that this thing has infected every other star except this one star.
Okay.
I'm starting to put the pieces together. There. I'm
getting homage. I'm getting homages to Sunshine now. Now I'm getting it. Okay, got it.
And now I will say, basically, the alien is there for the same reason. Like he's there to solve the problem. He's from a different star.
So we're gonna get a team up potentially. Does the alien speak? Is what I want to know. The reason why I bring that up
doesn't speak English.
Right. But the reason why I bring that up is because I'm wondering if they're gonna get like a celebrity voice, or like a celebrity like insert to voice the alien, or do mocap as the alien is what I'm wondering.
I wouldn't think so. Okay. I will say the alien is a prominent part of the novel, and the alien is basically everyone's favorite part of the novel.
Got it. That's what I figured. All right, I'll leave it at that because I don't want to spoil anything else. All right, so like I said, Project Hail Mary is releasing I believe the first weekend of March in 2026. So that will be looking forward to. Then one that we're getting a little bit sooner, released in November of this year. Edgar Wright is back after his last movie, Last Night in Soho, kind of bombed during the middle of COVID. He has officially been commissioned to do a remake of The Running Man, which is going to be a lot more faithful to the Stephen King adaptation. This is a movie that stars Glenn Powell in the titular role that was originally played by Arnold Schwarzenegger back in the 80s when this movie came out. This is a cast that includes Josh Brolin, Coleman Domingo, Michael Cera, William H. Macy, Katie M. O'Brien, bunch of other people who I'm not remembering because I don't have the cast list in front of me. And just based off the trailers, he's got his co-screenwriter Michael Bacall, who he wrote Scott Pilgrim vs. the World with. And just based off the trailer, I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be really, really good.
Yeah, this is another one that I've read as soon as they announced them. Okay, I need to seek out this specific King story, and it's like people are saying, "Oh, it's like Hunger Games." Like, oh yeah. This is like Hunger Games.
This is like Hunger Games.
Steve wrote it in the 70s or 80s, whatever.
During his prime Coke years too.
Oh yeah. So and it was a Richard Bachman release initially. So, but yeah, the Arnold movie is basically the same in name only. This is actually what the story is. It's like a guy running around the world away from these hunters trying to survive for 30 days. And Glenn Powell, he's perfectly cast. Coleman Domingo, the game show host, isn't really much of a character in the book, so I'm very excited to see him in that role. But it's really more of a getting from here to there and then here to there, and the various adventures that he gets into. I really wonder what they'll do with the ending, because they cannot do the ending that's in the book. I'll tell you off stream what the ending of the book is, but it's something from the trailer that is related to the ending of the book. But I think it's going to be awesome. Another, like, it needed the Edgar Wright flair and fun to really shine.
Because you know what the thing that I love about Edgar Wright's styles and sensibilities, and why this is in a way like even though again it is like a studio job, it's not like an Edgar Wright original, but like the fact that like why Edgar Wright's sensibilities and styles as a director works so perfectly for something like this is that you can feel the whole thing with The Running Man. And I've never read the original novel, but from what I've heard is that the whole thing with The Running Man is that you can feel the cocaine essence just spewing out of Stephen King King's pores on his skin. Like, it is just nonstop insanity, and you really feel that with this trailer. It is just so goofy. It is so ridiculous. It is joke a minute, which again Edgar Wright specializes in. It's what made Scott Pilgrim vs. the World so good. Michael Cera with the fucking water gun with the electric traps that he set up for everybody. Glenn Powell like literally like fucking getting the grenade thrown back at him and then narrowly avoiding it, then flipping off the camera. It's like, I'm like, this is perfect. This is perfect. It's like Glenn Powell is finally going to get to redeem himself after getting royally screwed over by Hitman. That was supposed to be his Oscar vehicle, and that completely screwed him over with that ending. But he is finally going to get to cook, because that's the thing, is that Glenn Powell is another one of those guys where, because he's so ridiculously good looking, people overlook the fact that he is a genuinely like theatrically trained actor. Like, I believe that, I don't remember where he went, but he is a trained theater actor. And like,
he's a Spy Kids 3D game over.
Exactly.
Alone, so
he likes,
he's been here for a while.
Exactly. It's by virtue of the fact that he is so good looking that he has really not gotten a chance to cook. But he, again, like the whole thing of why Hitman was like a showcase of his acting abilities, because it's like, yeah, he gets to play like 13 different characters in this one movie, you know, and just do all these silly voices.
And he's doing a bit of that here, because he's
exactly
on disguises.
Exactly. It's great. I'm really excited for this. Like, I'm really excited to have Edgar Wright back, and we've gone too long without him. And I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit worried after The World's End, where again, he was on such a run there with his Cornetto trilogy and Scott Pilgrim, and then Baby Driver I love, but it's not nearly as good as those first 4 movies. And then last night,
we're gonna make a sequel, and then the whole cast got canceled.
Literally, it's like it's kind of insane. And then what's it called? And then Last Night in Soho, like I enjoyed that movie, but like I was also like, oh, we're in trouble.
Pandemic,
here.
So that was never gonna be a great success.
Exactly. It was the first attempt to try and put movies back in theaters during COVID, but it was still 2021, so it wasn't working out that well. So I was worried, but I'm glad that Edgar Wright's back. I'm glad that we have him back. This movie looks like it's going to be an absolute blast, to say the least. Looks like it's going to be a lot more faithful to the original novel. I do want to watch the original Arnold vehicle, just so I can have some point of comparison, you know, because I have heard that even though that's more of like a cheesy 80s movie, it is still fun. So,
I feel like you had to watch that one then to really have any attachment to it, because to me it's like, okay, I don't novel adaptation aside, it's not a particularly.
Well, the other interesting thing too about this also is they're not marketing this as a Stephen King thing. Like, Life of Chuck was marketed based off the book by Stephen King. Long Walk is being marketed as based off the book by Stephen King. Have they mentioned that this is based off Stephen King in the trailers? They do
throw in like based on a novel by like in one of the middle sections where the text comes up. So
okay.
They're not like leaning super heavily into it, but it's like they mention it.
Right. But again, the difference here being that, like, this is Edgar Wright's vehicle, and it shows, because oh man, I can't wait. I'm really excited. Let's leave it at that. And now, before we get out of here, the big one. The one that we've all been waiting for. The one that, again, literally has become the latest joke in the cinephile online community, where, again, that people only went to see Jurassic World so they could see the first teaser for the Odyssey. And, of course, I watched it when it leaked online, but, oh, man. Ooh, just shivers. I'm like, even the fact that they're centering the movie around Tom Holland, which really pisses me off, as his son, Telemachus, I'm just like, ooh, I'm getting shivers. I hear John Bernthal's voice. I hear John Leguizamo's voice. I hear Robert Pattinson's voice. And now confirmation that Robert Pattinson is playing Hermes, which I'm like, that's even more perfect than him playing the Cyclops. We get the one shot. You know, we get the wide vista of the beach, the remains of the Trojan horse. The horse is riding across the beach. Oh, Matt Damon as Odysseus being like, I'm like, we're getting it. We're getting the Odyssey. Like,
we have a story about Odysseus.
Oh my God. It's like, you can see Nolan waving his hands at Bernthal off camera, just being like, stop. Like, don't say the line. Don't say the line. We know you're going to say it. Don't say the line. I'm just like, oh my God. Oh, I'm excited. I'm really, really excited for this. I was fist pumping through this whole thing. Like, oh, it was like, what? Was it even a full minute? I don't even think it was.
It was right around there, but when the Universal logo came up, okay, is this it?
Not even the Universal.
And then the syncope. I'm like, oh yes, and I leaned in. I'm like, no blinking, just fully take it in.
Yes,
I'm only gonna see this once in HD unless they played
until they re-release it. But I'm just like, oh, and literally it's like 7, 17, 26. I'm like, the countdown has begun. It's like the only thing that's sad that they don't have the Oppenheimer clock ticking towards the inevitable release. But I'm just like, oh. The power of Nolan. That's all that I have to say. The fact that, again, after he wins his Oscar, finally, after years of having been screwed over by Hollywood, he finally wins his Oscar. He finally gets his way into, like, the Director Prestige Hall of Fame. He's like, I am the biggest director right now in Hollywood, you know, because he's like, I'm going to do I'm not just going to pivot and do something that I've never done before, because he has never done epic fantasy like this before. Again, it's mostly been sci-fi, and like I said, Oppenheimer was a biopic. And like different like experimentations on like I said, Tenet was a time travel spy thriller, Dunkirk being a war movie. But he's like, this is the one genre that I haven't done at this point. And not only am I gonna do a Greek epic, I'm gonna do the Greek epic. Like the Odyssey. Like I read this book when I was 10 years old, and I have again, it's the thing that got me into Greek mythology. The Odyssey for me predates Percy Jackson. That's how much like I am invested in this, and that is why I am so beyond excited. And that's why, like, when I found out, I'm like, wait, Nolan's doing the Odyssey. Like, enough said. That's all I need to hear. That's all I need to. And that's before we even found out who the rest of the cast was, because, like I said, they announced Damon Hathaway, Tom Holland, and Zendaya before they even announced what the project was. So we only had the cast. And then once they announced it was the Odyssey, I'm like, I don't even care who else they get. And then they announced the rest of the cast, and I'm like, oh, I'm so in. I'm like, Bernthal, Lupita, Charlize, all have never worked with Nolan before. I'm like, oh, Benny Safdie, Leguizamo, fucking Opie from Sons of Anarchy, Corey Hawkins, Mia Goth. I'm like, just stop. Just inject this movie right into my veins. 4 hours, 4.5 hours. I don't care. Give it to us in the original Greek epic format, shot for IMAX. We heard the little bit of the original Ludwig score. Oh man. Oh, tingles is all I gotta say.
Yeah, I haven't read it. I guess it's not like part of the European education thing. I have it on my shelf. I will read it very soon. I'll reread Project
Iliad and the Odyssey with the fucking like Greek thing. Like I haven't read this. I might honestly reread this like leading into it, because
I will say I went to go like maybe get the Iliad, and I saw how thick it was. I'm like, it's the whole thing is like a poem. I'm like, okay, no, I'll just watch a YouTube recap of that. I will read the Odyssey.
The Iliad, I'll say, is like a lot less important towards the journey of the Odyssey, but like the one does build into the other. And I will say that like even though it's not accurate at all, if you do want like a movie version of the Iliad, that's Troy, basically.
I will definitely be watching Troy.
Yeah, I gotta watch that too as well. I've never seen it, but I've seen a couple clips of Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt looks really stiff and really miscast, and he doesn't look like he wants to be there. But like that's too interesting of a cast, when it's early 2000s. Benioff and Weiss wrote the script, so yeah.
But as I say, I haven't read the Odyssey. Like, not everyone has read the Odyssey, but everyone has heard of the Odyssey, and that shows to how monumental this is. And I've been watching some like YouTube analysis, things you missed kind of thing. And the New Rockstars channel said like Nolan's obsessed with like the subjective narrative, like, and then the Odyssey is ultimately the story of this man going across like these various adventures and what he runs into. And like, as you said, maybe certain things are exaggerations of things he experiences, and how much Nolan's going to lean into that. Like, did he really run into a Cyclops, or was it something else? So that part really entices me to see what Nolan does with it, because it's definitely not going to be like your average A to Z adaptation. No. This is Nolan. It's gonna jump timelines. Like you said, it could be a lot around Telemachus, and but then you end with a shot of Odysseus on the raft, and like, okay, I'll see you in
Major Lost vibes too, if I'm being honest here. It all ties together. That's all that I gotta say. But yeah, I'm excited. Needless to say, like I said, I was already excited enough for Avengers Doomsday, but then they announced the Dune Messiah and then the Odyssey, and I'm like,
which Dune Messiah starts filming tomorrow.
Yeah, so I'm like, so that means we are getting.
They're not moving.
They are not moving. They are not moving though, because they saw that Avengers Doomsday release and they're like, oh, we got to get moving on this. We got to get. They're like, oh, Zendaya's done filming on the Odyssey. Okay, we could bring her in. Oh, Pattinson is done filming on Odyssey. Okay, we're good. We can bring him in for Messiah. And then literally Pattinson, can we just talk about Pattinson for a second? Now, Pattinson went from the Odyssey, is gonna film Dune Messiah, and then go right into the Batman 2. Like,
he's on a monumental run.
All he needs
is Tenet. Like,
yeah,
like you join a Nolan or a Cruise production, and it's like, bang.
illusions, or like I didn't enunciate that enough. But yeah, all he needs is to win an Oscar before the end of the decade, and he will be the king of the decade.
He plays too many freaks to win an Oscar.
Yeah, I know. But it's like for once, just welcome in the freaks. Just once Oscars. You've done it before. I know you can do it again.
He did that A24 movie with Zendaya, I think.
Oh yeah, the drama. From the director who did the Nicolas Cage one 2 years ago that I'm forgetting the name of. The Dreams
one where he's in dreams. Yeah.
Yes, that one. The one that I can't remember the name of, but I heard that one was very good. So I'm very excited for that. And he's going to be in Die My Love this year, the Lynn Ramsey one with Jennifer Lawrence later this year, which I've heard is getting very good reviews. So I'm excited for that. So needless to say, those are our 3 trailers. We were looking forward to them a lot more than the actual movie that we just reviewed here. But yeah, so like I said, so we have Running Man's first, November of this year. Then we have Project Hail Mary, March of next year. And then the big one, The Odyssey, July of next year. Literally a year from now. So the countdown has begun. I'm so excited. I'm so fucking excited.
We got Superman next week.
We have Superman next week.
Fantastic Four in 3 weeks.
3 weeks. Yep. We're here. July is blockbuster.
We got weapons in August, which is my most anticipated for the rest of the year.
Weapons, double Sydney Sweeney, highest to lowest. I'm forgetting one other. Nobody 2 also. Naked Gun. Yeah, we're really getting into like the prime of the summer months.
Avatar trailer probably soon.
Oh yeah, Avatar trailer is definitely going to be out soon. So yeah, I'm excited.
I'm guessing it'll come out before Fantastic Four, so they can play it in front of that. That would make more sense to me.
That's what I would assume as well, since they're both Disney productions. Well, both got a lot of blue in them, so there's that. And also too, so like I said, it's going to coincide where it's like once things start picking up as well, movie wise as well. That's when we get into Lost season 3, and that's where things really start to heat up. So that's all that I'm going to say. So like I said, July is a big month. We're wrapping up season 2. So stay tuned as well all the way up until the end of the month when we hit it with, that's going to be a big long episode because it's going to be a full hour for Fantastic Four. And then we have the 2-parter finale for Live Together, Die Alone. So it might have to be one of those things where we might have to record 2 of those on 2 separate occasions, or I might have to release those as 2 separate episodes depending on how much depending on how long those episodes are. But stay tuned. Like I said, we're doing Superman next Friday because we're doing Superman next Friday morning because I am leaving for Italy that day as well. So we got to hit it that day. But we will get the Superman review out just in time for you guys to view and enjoy. In the meantime, Luke, thank you once again for joining me. Where can the good people follow you on the interwebs?
They can follow me at Luke Reviews on YouTube. But mostly these days I'm here, which is more fun than I had on my own. So and then Lost just keeps delivering, and then the movies, the Jurassic World maybe didn't.
The movies are like secondary, but they're finally, hopefully, fingers crossed.
There's enough to talk about, and that's the main thing.
Exactly. Yes, and you guys can follow me with everything going on at Movie Nerd Reviews across all platforms, at Official Talkin TV Podcast across all platforms. We will see you guys next week for Superman. We're finally here. Take care and watch more fucking movies. We'll see you guys next time.